In this lecture, we'll create the customer proxy implementation that will act as a proxy to our customer impl. To do that, go to STS, right click on the package, say new class customer proxy impl. Hit on add. This should also implement the customer interface. If you don't find it, do a search for customer. You will find that guy, select it, hit OK, finish. And by default, we'll have to override and implement the get ID and the get orders methods. So this customer proxy impl needs access to the customer impl. So here we create a customer implementation, call it customer. This is the real object, is equal to new customer impl. And when the get method is invoked on this customer proxy impl, we simply do a customer dot get ID. It goes on to the real object. It invokes the method on the real object, returns that ID back. But here when it comes to get orders, this is where the proxy comes in. Here, typically it will be loaded from the database. It's up to the ORM frameworks like Hibernate to do that. But we are going to create a list right here and return that list. So new array list of order. Hit Control+1, import that, Control+1 again, assign statement to a new local variable, call it orders. And to this orders, we'll add a couple of orders, orders dot add new order. That is the first one. Select that new order, Control+1, extract to a local variable and call it order1. Order1 is the first guy. Let's maximize this. Order1 dot set ID, say 1. Order1 dot set product name, then double quote, say iPhone. And order1 dot set quantity of iPhones, let's say 100 iPhones. Save it, and then that's added here. Let's see what the syntax error here is. Of course, we need to add brackets at the end so that we can instantiate it. On the left hand side, this can just be a list. It need not be an array list. That's the first order. Copy the whole thing from order1 all the way to orders.add. Paste it. Change this to order2. Everything here should be 2, 2, 2. And then we add it to the list. That should be 2 as well. Change the ID to 2. Phone to Mac, and quantity is 200 max, and return that orders back formatted. So we are successfully creating 2 orders, adding them to the list, and we are returning that orders back. Now in our test class, instead of using the actual customer implementation, we'll use the customer proxy impl. Run the test. Let's see the output. Double click to minimize that, and you see the object, instead of null, we get the entire orders back. If you check the size on it, dot size, we should see a size of 2. Rerun. Make sure I'm running the test. Yeah, there we go. We see the ID and the size of orders, which is 2. That is how a proxy internally works. Frameworks like Hibernate and Spring create this proxy using reflection on the fly in memory, and it will access the actual object using reflection API. So this is for demonstration reasons. This is how it is done. We simply create an interface and a class. Frameworks like Spring on the fly can implement that particular interface and create a proxy like this. You can also implement the setter methods. The setter methods here should always go against the actual object. So they will invoke the actual object's customer impulse setters. That's all they do. They act as a proxy. So go ahead, implement the setters here, set ID and set orders, and whatever is passed to the setters, those should be used to invoke the setters on the actual customer.